Today we're having a look at 10 top tips for pruning, and so we're going to kick that straight off and jump in, and let's have a look at tip number 1. So my top tip is let the plant tell you how to prune it. If the flowers are on the end of the growth, that means that you're safe to cut it to the ground in March, okay, because it will grow and you'll still get a flower on the end. You're not destroying this year's flower buds. So with Buddleia, with Hypericum, with Spirea bemolda, even Lavatera and plants like that, if they flower on the end, which they do, you can cut them back. There are a few exceptions. There's Buddleia alternifolia, of course, so just be careful. But let the plant tell you, if the flowers are on the end, you know that you're safe to cut it back in March. So tip number 2, like the Deutzia and like the Philadelphus, they flower on the previous season's growth. You can see where this one has already flowered. So what we do there is we remove a third of the oldest wood, and we want to keep this nice shoots in. So the colour you want to keep, if you're pruning using colour, you want this kind of shoot which has got that nice sort of colour. The bark is not broken up in any way, so you're looking to preserve that wherever possible. And the older wood, which begins to break up and become kind of what I call striated into stripes, you want to remove a third of that wood, and then that way you'll preserve your plants. So plants such as Forsythia, Vigilia, Corwitzia, Deutzia, all that kind of plant, you generally remove a third of the oldest wood straight after it's flowered, or you prune it on colour in the winter, and you want to remove some of this old woody material, about a third. Tip number 3, as you can see here, this Philadelphus virginale has lost its identity. The dogwood has grown up, the rose has grown over the top, and plants lose their identity, and you need to redefine them. And so what I've got to do is prune away the dogwood, prune away the rose, so that that Philadelphus virginale will get back its identity. That's as much as we can do, and that should have just redefined that a little bit. So tip number 4, the vase. So the vase method of pruning is where you create this beautiful sort of vase shaped plant, and the way you do that, of course, in this case is removing some of the older wood, but trying to keep some of the slightly arching branches, but not too arching. If they're too arching and going too far away from the plant, then you'd prune them off. But that's as much as you dare go, I think, to give that nice display that just looks like as if you're doing a vase for the house. And we'll just have a quick look at doing a vase for the house and compare it. So you can see here this sort of vase-like shape going up and out. That's what we can do with the Deutzia to make it an interesting display using that same shape with the plant. But there's a couple that are arching out the back of this border, so I'm just going to cut them back to a nice shoot here. There is a bit of a crossover here, a crossing branch, so I think we'll just take out this one here. That one. There. So I think we're about done. You can see that we did keep in some of the older shoots, but generally speaking we try to replace them with these new this year's growth, which will flower next year. So we kept the old ones, a few, just to keep the balance of the plant and the shape of the plant. We have got one crossing over here, but it is this year's, and that will flower next year, and we'll probably remove it the year after that. Tip number 5 is all about removing suckers. These are ones where they come up below where the plant was grafted. Let's have a look at some examples. So you can see here that this Pyrus salicifolia pendula is reverting back to the stock. Well, the stock has actually sort of come up and is out competing protecting the original ornamental plant, and that's a problem because that's going to take over, so we need to remove anything coming that below the graft or the bud, what it should look like. So this is exactly what you want. You want a Pyrus salicifolia pendula which has got this beautiful arching framework, and that's much better. In tip number 6, we're looking at exposing the bark so you see more of the beautiful colours of interesting barks. Sometimes it's trees and sometimes it's shrubs. Let's take a look at some examples. Attractive stem like Betula utilis and Jacquemontii, Dorum bossii, or maybe Prunus cerula, then you need to remove some of these lower branches to show off that lovely stem colour. One of the things Mahonias have got is a really, really nice bark, and so we've got a corrugated bark, and what we're going to do is we're going to take away some of the foliage from the base of it so we can reveal that lovely characteristic bark of it, which looks really good. Tip number 7 is all about removing those little side shoots that are messing up the shape of the plant, or in some cases epicormic shoots. Let's take a look. So you can see on here that you've got lots of these little shoots which all need cutting off, and it's the same with epicormic shoots as well, where they come off the stem. We just prune them off to make that open goblet shape on the pear tree. It's got a lot of epicormic shoots that are, these are shoots that grow out from the base of the plant, from the side of the plant. You see it a lot on lime trees, trees like that. So what we're going to do is to just remove these epicormic shoots, or whiskers, some people call them whiskers. Tip number 8 is all about cutting back to a bud or a lateral branch, or in this case we're going to look at cutting back to the branch bark collar ridge so that the tree heals quicker. Let's take a look. And if I want to remove this one, I can cut a third below. So we remove the weight first, because if you try to do the cut straight the way through, it might rip and tear down. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut a third from below, come slightly ahead of it, and cut down to it. Not to meet it, but slightly further out. Then that breaks off without ripping back. Then what you do is you look for the branch bark ridge. And you can see there's a wrinkly growth here, so it's wrinkled all the way around. And so we want to find a good angle to cut just beyond that collar, and then the tree will heal much quicker. If you cut it flush, you'd have a great big wound, and you damage the cells which overwall and literally callus the wound over. So I've got the angle, it's going to be something like that. In fact, I can get a better angle from working underneath. So I'll just work underneath and come upwards, just so I get a really good angle on it. There's my cut, and that's the branch bark ridge. That will overwall quickly. The new cells, the parenchyma cells, will grow over it, and that will callus over nicely. Number 9, we can't miss out all the dead, dying, diseased wood. Let's have a look at this tree, and you can see there's quite a bit to remove from it. So one of the keys to pruning, of course, is to remove all the dead, dying, diseased. Remember your D's, especially if you're doing an exam or something. Dead, diseased, dying, displaced. It's a good one to remember to clock up a few points. Tip number 10 today is all about balance, and it's about maintaining the balance of a plant. And if you can get that right, you get the nice shape, and it really looks good to the eye. So taking a look at this apple tree, you can see the balance of it is slightly out of kilter. So all we'd need to do in this case is to remove the branch to the right, and then that would get the balance just right. Well, I hope you enjoyed 10 top tips for pruning, and there'll be another 10 top tips coming up soon. So we look forward to seeing you then. Why not join us on the channel, just click subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, just hit the like button. See you next time.